and that's Gaynell. So Gaynell, you want to start maneuvering your way on up here. Interesting thing about Gaynell is that my wife's club has a brand new, really wet behind the ears, student of hers from California, Cal Baptist University, and so he just talked her up, and so he said we have to make sure we talk to her. She is a professor of, let's see if I got it right now, communication and leadership at California Baptist University, and she will share with us something we probably most of us need to learn more about. Millennials, a new narrative. Millennials, a new narrative.
How many of you have heard of these individuals called millennials? How many of you have seen these individuals? How many of you have some of them still sitting on your couch? I would like you to hold for a moment, please, the common narrative around millennials. Don't share. Just marinate on that thought for a moment. What is the common narrative around millennials? The views that we hold of other people impact the way in which we interact with those individuals, which also influences the performance that they deliver in the workplace. In 1968, two scientists conducted a study, teachers and students. They informed the teachers that the students had been pre-tested and pre-selected for classroom A and classroom B. The students in classroom A were identified as high achievers. At the end of the semester, the students were tested. And as expected, the students in classroom A scored higher than the students in classroom B. You would think that's just what the scientists were looking for, but it wasn't. The students had not been pre-tested, neither were they pre-selected. They were selected at random for classroom A and classroom B. The difference was in the teachers. The view that the teachers held of these students being high achievers influenced considerably the way the students were interacted and engaged. The teachers spent more time with them. They gave them more positive feedback. They accepted the fact that these students needed to develop and grow and gave them the room to do so. As leaders, we know the world is changing, and it's changing fast. Technology has accelerated that change and that growth. As leaders, in order to sustain your business, you need individuals at every level who are creative, innovative, and relational. How do we get there from here? Take that image, bring it back into mind. If you buy into that narrative, will you create a positive interaction or a negative interaction? Will you influence a positive income or a negative income? What would be the impact of your thoughts? Recently, I've taken up photography as a hobby. And one day I decided to venture out over to Chino's Hills and take my camera in hand, and I was ready. I was going to take pictures of anything in sight. Now, as an amateur photographer, I knew that there would be some photos that would not make it through the grade. But that's okay. I take my photos. I have to run home, get them on my computer to see what is it that I have? What can I share with my family? Sure enough, I pull up a photo, and all I see is a dark hue. Now, I know I took a picture of something on that day. Right now, I don't know what that something is. So where does it go? It ends up in my electronic trash can on my computer. It's of no use to me. I don't even know what it is. 3 days later, I run into an application that will allow me to photo enhance images after the fact. Immediately, my level of curiosity goes up. I'm already thinking, what is it that I threw away? I spent hours out there in Chino's Hills. What did I throw away? I pull that application up, I pull that image up, I bring it into view, bring it into this little adjuster, and I start adjusting the cues. And within seconds, I can start to see what was behind those images. The most beautiful picture on the entire disc. Beautiful clear sky, blue. Puffy white clouds, spaced out, just perfectly. Yellow flowers lining the rolling hills and leading me down a narrow pathway to explore even more. This image reminds me of what I see on a regular basis in the classroom. I see young individuals who come in, who fit into this millennial group, who have bought into the common narrative that they are of no use, that they're too busy on their phones, they're totally disconnected from reality, and we don't know what to do with them. I encourage you to think of it in a different way. What if we took the time to be creative and curious and walk behind that dark hue to discover what's there? What if I sat down for a moment and created dialogue? What if I found out what you're passionate about? What if I discovered that you not only work with children younger than you, and you feed into them, but you travel across the globe and do the same in third world countries? What if I found out that you are far more interested in establishing a place in society where we can all thrive than in making money? What if? And what if we just accept the fact that maybe they'll be on your couch a little bit longer? As a leader, I would encourage you to do 3 things. 1, remember, we are all creative, we're all visionary, and we are all relational. How do we create a new narrative? I encourage you to do 3 things. 1, look at your emotional instinct. The first emotion you get about this particular group, ignore it. Go for the second one. 2, rely on logic. For example, I don't know about you, I'm a little bit closer to collecting that Social Security check. And somewhere down the line, I remember this phrase, something about don't bite the hand that feeds you. Yeah, that check I'm collecting is not coming from my income. So logically, perhaps I want to help them succeed. However, those 2 really won't cut it in and of themselves. The one that you have to rely on is your value. What are your values? What are your values about mankind? What are your values about society? What are your values about what you want to give back? Regardless to where you are today in life. Let's take your values and the values of the millennials and let's bring them together, because now is the time for a new narrative. Yeah.